Hey, Cross Park, wanted to give you an update today on our winter plans as well as some of the details for our December 20th Christmas service. The officers met this week to consider all the various factors. There are lots. I gave them lots of weather info that they probably didn't need. I'm sort of a bit of a weather buff. And we looked at averages, long-term predictions, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, we had a very wet summer and fall, and yet we were able to meet outside. So weather is a difficult thing to predict any given week, as you know, and Charlotte weather is always changing. So we'll probably have some really pleasant Sundays and some really unpleasant Sundays as it goes around here. But we considered all the weather factors. We also, of course, thought about the virus, both its official spread in terms of the numbers, and we talked to Patrick Filno, who's a doctor, for sort of his take on some of this. But we also considered the situation of many of our members, whether they personally feel that they are in a more vulnerable situation, or if they are people who are living with or working with people who are vulnerable to the virus and have various risk factors. So we took very seriously those things. We also thought about your survey. So we appreciate the survey, those of you who filled out the survey. And predictably, there was a wide range of opinions in the survey on the best thing to do. And so as we thought about it, we really said, what does God want us to do now? How do we create an environment that feels free, safe, that people can come and frequently worship God together? And how do we do that in a way that preserves unity and gives us the best opportunity, we think, for the most people to be able to meet together regularly? We felt that this was a wisdom and discernment call, obviously not a right or a wrong choice. So we took all the factors together, and we were able to come to a consensus that for the winter of 2021, for January and February, our plan is to stay in the parking lot at RTS. Now that might be a bit of a surprise to you, so I want to give you some more of the rationale, but we are planning to try to stay outside for the winter of 2021. We did consider several inside options. One of them was afternoon only, which we thought was a bit of a drawback. The other one had a morning opportunity, but the space was not big enough to fit our normal attendance, even our COVID attendance in there. So we would need two services, and there was some concern about the airflow and ventilation in that space. When we looked at the whole concept of going inside, we just felt that obviously the risk factors go up, and we would have to make a big push to wear masks and be socially distant. We certainly are willing to do that if that's what we need to do, but we did not feel that that was the direction we wanted to go. We didn't feel like going inside would necessarily gain us that much. Obviously, it would keep us out of the weather, but we had quite a few people who won't be able or won't be comfortable with coming inside, and then there's the whole mask thing and the debates about how people feel about that. We felt like it was actually easier to continue to stay outside. Now, of course, we're not going to meet in the rain or snow. Don't worry, that's not changing. And there may be Sundays where honestly it's just too cold at 11 a.m. for us to meet together. So as we will let you know first thing Sunday morning or even Saturday night if the weather is obvious what's going to happen. Sometimes it isn't. But we will always have the digital service as a backup plan if we need to cancel. We're also considering having a late afternoon backup plan at the parking lot. If the weather is substantially better in the afternoon than the morning, we might shift there as well. You know, as we talked together, I appreciated a phrase Jared Meisel said. Jared said, we should embrace the strangeness of being in the parking lot, and we should winter well. So that's our goal. We're going to try to winter well. From our end, this Sunday is going to be hot chocolate for everybody. We're also going to ask you guys in the coming weeks to sign up for things like setup team, cleanup team, something we're going to call the warm welcome team. So it's not this old school greeting team, but the warm welcome team. Somebody clever gave me that name. We're going to ask you to jump in various ways to make the situation as good as we can on a Sunday morning. And we're going to be thinking as officers of other ways we can help you. We want to encourage you as you come to do what it takes for you to be warm enough for that hour. Jumping jacks before you leave the parking lot, hot coffee, lots of layers, blankets, whatever it takes. We want to create an environment that helps you to worship and connect with what we're doing. Now, I know for some of you it just seems insane and crazy that we're staying outside. You know, I never wanted to go outside. I've mentioned that before. I just thought it wouldn't work. And I think I was wrong. I'm very pleased with how this has gone. So we are going to ask you to embrace this idea of being in the parking lot for the winter and to see what the Lord does with it. We know that for some of you, this is just not a situation. You're not going to come in the winter. For others of you, you weren't going to come if we were inside. We know we can't and won't try to please everybody. We think this gives us the best way to have the most people worship with us. And, if it goes really badly, we will continue to evaluate as we have. But we do want to ask you to embrace this if you can, and to join us in the parking lot as frequently as we're able to meet. So finally, I want to say December 20th, our Christmas event, it's going to be 11 a.m. in the RTS parking lot. Our plan is to have a slightly different service, a little shorter sermon. We'll have communion, and we're going to do more singing than usual to sing Christmas songs. And then we invite you to bring a picnic lunch for you or your family in the parking lot on the grounds afterwards to celebrate together. We will, because this is our only Christmas event, we're going to have an afternoon backup option, 3:30 in the parking lot if the weather is substantially better than in the morning. And finally, if the weather doesn't cooperate at all, we'll have the digital service as a backup. As I said before, we're going to constantly evaluate how we think this is going and what we think God is doing. We appreciate that for some of you. This is disappointing. We know that the changes can be really challenging. We wish we had a situation where we could safely and easily have a big space and spread out, and that it would be the right situation for now, but it isn't. That's our conclusion, and so we are making this decision, asking you to embrace it as much as you can, and if it can't or won't work for you, then we'll continue to provide that digital service for you. Well, CrossPark, thanks for listening to this. Looking forward to seeing you, whether it's this Sunday or a future Sunday. We'd love for as many of you as possible to join us in the parking lot. And if not, looking forward to preaching to you on the digital service. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for praying. Thanks for flexing with us. And we'll see you this Sunday one way or another. Thanks, CrossPark.